Chef! It's time for The Shelf. Whangarei District Libraries Radio on Beagle Radio. Oh!
Welcome to The Shelf, a radio show for Whangarei District Libraries on Beagle Radio 88.1 FM. And I'll just introduce myself again. My name is Andy, and I am an Outreach Services Librarian. And I am here with...
Me. Kia ora, Andy, and everyone. My name's Glenn. Also work at the library in the outreach team with Andy. We get to do lots of fun stuff at the library, including helping people, but also hosting lots of cool events from time to time.
Yeah, it's a very nuanced role. I've done so many things in this role.
That you never would have dreamed of.
Well, no. When I did Fun Time a couple of times, I played guitar. And
True.
It was my first paid gig.
Yeah, you're a professional musician now, Andy.
The ABC song.
Yeah, it's always a winner. The ABC song. It's the same tune as Twinkle Twinkle. Who can go wrong with that?
Yeah, it is the same.
Yeah.
So I should just start by saying that we are called The Shelf. Here at The Shelf, we are librarians at Whangarei District Libraries in Northland, New Zealand, discussing and promoting books, libraries, community, and culture. And it isn't just about us. We are advocates for libraries everywhere. I feel very strongly about that, too.
Good, yeah. And, as you say, some people tune in from around the place. So if you're not catching us on 88.1, maybe you're listening somewhere on beagleradio.co.nz.
That's right. This is an incredible announcement, but our podcast is now available on the library's website. You just can search for The Shelf. Or, I tried this, Google Whangarei The Shelf, and it's that easy. You can listen to our older episodes this way.
Yeah, do that. We've had some good interviews lately.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so lots of fun stuff.
I'm just excited that what we are doing here is now in the collection.
Oh, true, on the website.
Yeah.
That's your inner librarian coming out, isn't it? We've been catalogued.
I am catalogued.
You're real now. You're actually real.
I'm legit.
Not only are you a professional musician by the sound of it, but you're also a legit radio broadcaster.
Oh, thank
there
you.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. I'm
You're welcome.
Bona fide. Is that the right one?
Yeah, that'll do. We can work with that.
So today we have a more consistent theme, and that is the e-library, our electronic library, or an online library. There are many different terminologies for it. They are like our library within our library, and all online. I will talk about some of these online resources, or our e-library, that I have been enjoying. And I even have a recording of an interview with the Electronic Resources Librarian, Penny. And before I start, I'll just say, to find this e-library, there is a link on the library's homepage. So Google search for Whangarei District Libraries, click the link, and then go to the e-library. And the world of electronic media is open to you.
Totally agree. Now, I don't want to, I'm not 100% sure what Penny's going to talk about in her interview, but I often think that a lot of people in the community don't know about the e-library, and some of the cool stuff is on there, such as the movie streaming.
Yeah.
Free movies, yeah.
That's right. We have a streaming service called Beam a Film, and you can access movies by signing up with your email and I think your library card number. And you can watch movies, mainly New Zealand and Australian, but there's quality in there. Some good films.
Great films, good docos.
Oh, definitely.
And for people that are listening to the station that are fans of music, some good music documentaries.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool stuff.
I'd like to just talk about one particular e-resource that I am enjoying right now, but I listened to an audiobook called I'm Glad My Mom Died. The title is very jarring, but so is the book, honestly. It's an audiobook that I accessed on one of our apps that we subscribe to called Libby. Basically, you have the audiobook on your phone, you play it. and that's how you do it. But the audiobook is by Jeanette McCurdy, and she talks about how she was a child actor on Nickelodeon on a TV show called iCarly. Now, I never watched iCarly. I never watched Nickelodeon. That is not important at all to understand this book, and I think it's actually a really important book. But it is another book about child abuse. It's very it is a sad story, but it's good that Jeanette McCurdy has written a book about it, and also this audiobook is read by her. So I hear her voice as she reads it, which I think is, with audiobooks, a very unique way of looking at books.
That's so the Nickelodeon. Can you tell us a bit about? I have the impression that it's kind of a bit of a ruthless place to work. Some of those TV shows, probably especially for a young person. Is that kind of what's going on there?
I guess more detailed is that she was a child star because her mother insisted, but she didn't want to be. She was miserable, but wanted to please her mother. And then there's another problem. She was developing a very severe eating disorder as well, anorexia and bulimia, and later on became an alcoholic because of the amount of stress. And she does mention other celebrities on the show that she has worked with. She's met quite a lot of people. And you can listen to her story about that, but you do not have to be familiar with iCarly or Nickelodeon at all. Just get swept away with the story.
So what was it about the book that appealed to you?
Well, I was quite curious about it. I think it's the title that I found especially eye-catching. And also, I guess I wanted to listen to some nonfiction during my commute to work.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm not. I usually don't read books by celebrities.
Yeah.
I think one appeal is she's a celebrity who didn't want to be. So a very unique perspective.
And who would you recommend this book to?
Well, that's tough. I'd say anyone who maybe believes they have an eating disorder. You can perhaps see that you are not alone.
Yeah.
And that you can hear from someone who has seen it through to the other side.
I guess you can get the insight too, can't you, about someone's story. You know, if you know nothing about eating disorders, you'd get some insight, I'm imagining, into what that's like. Yeah,
and there's parts of this book that made me feel physically ill, which wasn't good for my commute, but maybe there were some things that I should know. It made me feel like I was a bit more aware.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to say, Jeanette McCurdy's a great writer.
Wow, yeah. Does make a difference. And is she a good reader as well?
Oh, very well.
Oh, she's an actor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so she's an excellent reader. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. And who would you recommend for audiobooks if you want to pitch people why audiobooks are so great?
Well, people who do commutes, I think if you just feel you don't have time to read because of that, that's one way to get into it. Another is people with dyslexia probably have trouble focusing on books, so you can just listen to them. And it does count as reading, except maybe we can come up with a different word than reading. If you understand the story's themes, characters, the plot, and you can discuss it, you are engaged with the literature, or in this case, an autobiography. LJ and I intend to talk a lot more about audiobooks in the future because we have this recurring conversation about what actually counts as reading.
Yeah, well, then you get into what counts as a book.
Yes, and that is changing a lot, but it has changed in the past too.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you know what I learned from an audiobook recently? Before I get into the next part, the I Ching is, or was it the Tao Te Ching? One of the scripts of written by Lao Tzu really was a bundle of sticks with the characters carved into it. So at one point, it was not a stack of paper
Right.
or a stack of tablets, but sticks with Chinese characters written on it. So the order that you read it is not necessarily pertinent.
Interesting. Yeah, well, and then I suppose where do books come from? They come from stories. What would have been the first stories would have been people telling stories.
Yeah, yeah.
So sticks is just sort of a bit of a step along the way, isn't it, towards a book, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. Well, thanks for sharing that.
No problem. Did you know Whangarei Central Library is hosting another movie screening? So the thing that follows is a pre-recorded segment that I have been calling Strange Facts or Strange Stories. This is basically a book report that I made using freely available resources from the library and internet, and then I pre-recorded it, this report, and added sound effects, all for the audience's amusement. And today I will be talking about the movie that I want to show this weekend. The movie is called The General. It's a silent film starring Buster Keaton.
Awesome. I love the fact you're bringing book reports into this show, Andy. That seems very academic.
Yeah, and I want to really emphasize that the information I learned about this film was all freely available at the library, and some of them were eResources. I used periodical articles that I found on our website just to talk about this movie. More on that later. Let's get into it.
All right, so we'll cut away now to Strange Facts, brought to you by Andy.
Now it's time for Strange Stories. The following is based on research that I conducted with library resources. These included several books on cinema history which I found on the shelves, one audiobook that I accessed online, periodicals from the Public Library's EBSCOhost account, and online sources which I carefully evaluated. The silent film era had many talented actors who excelled during the golden age of the silent era, but faded with the introduction of sound in movies. One of these talents was the vaudevillian actor Buster Keaton. He was born in 1895 as Joseph Keaton, to a family of traveling vaudeville performers. He earned the nickname Buster after the illusionist Harry Houdini witnessed him falling down a flight of stairs. Known for his athletic stunts, blank facial expressions, and absurdist storylines, Keaton was one of the most famous actors of the silent era, and often erroneously compared to Charlie Chaplin. For nearly 10 years, like many other silent film stars, Keaton enjoyed near-complete creative control over his film projects, but the star burned out in the late 1920s. In 1926, Buster Keaton released one of his most spectacular and expensive works of cinema, The General. The General takes place during the American Civil War. It's about a railroad engineer named Johnny Gray, and his train is called The General. Johnny has two loves in his life, his train and a woman named Annabelle Lee. Union spies steal his train to disrupt the supply chain to the south. The spies also kidnap Annabelle Lee. Now, Johnny must do a daring rescue mission behind enemy lines to save both his train and Annabelle Lee. The General is loosely based on events that occurred in 1862, called the Great Locomotive Chase, or the Andrews Raid. During the Great Locomotive Chase, a Union spy named James Andrews led a raid to steal a Confederate train, ride the train to the north, and burn bridges between Atlanta, Georgia, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. This would disrupt the supply chain and allow the Union to advance on Chattanooga, and make it impossible for Confederate reinforcements to arrive. Andrews was caught and executed. The Great Locomotive Chase had the makings of a great heist, action, or spy thriller, but not likely a comedy. Nevertheless, Buster Keaton made The General into a slapstick comedy. Moreover, 21st century audiences may think it was a strange decision to tell a comical, and arguably glorified, story from the Confederacy's point of view. The General also contains Keaton's iconic, death-defying stunts, all performed with his signature emotionless look on his face. He never used a stunt double. While filming The General, he also strove for authenticity and hired 500 extras from the Oregon National Guard to play Civil War soldiers. Keaton even acquired 3 real locomotives on which he performed his dangerous stunts. At one point, sparks from one of the train's engines caused a forest fire, delaying production for 6 weeks. During these suspenseful chase scenes, 2 separate trains ran on parallel tracks. The crew mounted a camera to one train to film Keaton on the other train, as he absurdly operated a locomotive all by himself, while climbing and jumping from one car to another. The film's most expensive scene depicts a locomotive engine falling from a broken bridge and crashing into a river. How could such special effects be possible in 1926? The answer is simple. It wasn't a special effect. It was a real train wreck. To film this train wreck, the crew built a 215-foot wooden bridge over a river. In the scene, Union soldiers are aboard a train called the Texas, and they're pursuing our hero played by Buster Keaton. Looking as serious as usual, Keaton sets fire to the bridge. As their train is speeding across the burning bridge, the bridge collapses, and the train falls and crashes into the river below. Thousands of locals gathered to watch it crash into the river. The train remained there until World War II, when it was salvaged for scrap metal. It was the most expensive shoot in the silent era, costing $42,000 US, and The General was the most expensive film of its time. The General was a financial and critical failure. The film cost $750,000 US, but only earned less than $500,000 at the box office. Not only did the film capture an actual train wreck on film, but audiences at the time also viewed Buster Keaton's now classic film as a total train wreck. Robert Sherwood, a film critic and World War I veteran, said, quote, "Someone should have told Buster that it is difficult to derive laughter from the sight of men being killed in battle." End quote. Remember, The General was released in the mid-1920s, only 60 years after the Civil War, and only 8 years after the end of World War I, which people very clearly remembered. In 1928, Buster Keaton signed a contract with MGM, and consequentially he lost the creative control he once held over his films. Also, in the late 1920s, large film studios took more control over how movie production was funded, making it more complicated for Keaton to film another ambitious and expensive project like The General. It is strange to imagine that, given more creative authority over his own work, Buster could have thrived during the era of sound in movies. Instead, his bright career faded. He started drinking heavily, and he drifted into depression and poverty. Buster Keaton's work did not get the credit that it deserved until decades later. His career saw a resurgence in the 1950s with several appearances on television and in film. He very briefly appeared in the film Sunset Boulevard in 1950. He was also cast in Limelight, starring alongside Charlie Chaplin. Buster Keaton died in 1966. In 2007, the American Film Institute released a list of the top 100 movies of all time. In a strange, ironic twist, they ranked The General at number 18. That is all for now. Special thanks to Gregor Kendall for his recording of Maple Leaf Rag by Scott Joplin. Other sounds and music were provided by Internet Archive and freesound.org with Creative Commons licenses. Thank you for listening.
All right, you're listening to The Shelf, Whangarei Libraries radio show on Beagle Radio. And that was a episode of Strange Facts, which you put together, Andy. That was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and yes, it is a promo for an event that will take place this weekend. There will be a movie screening of The General at Whangarei Central Library at 11 a.m. That's Saturday, May 25th. show up a little early. There is a little surprise before the film. Much of the info that I gained to research this came from EBSCOhost, plus an audiobook that I listened to on the way to work, speaking of audiobooks. And there is so much more to the story that I could have reported, but it's just too complex. But Buster Keaton was institutionalized at one point. He was in a straitjacket, and they force-fed him alcohol, thinking that would make him stop drinking. Spoiler alert, that made it worse. And that's actually medical torture. I also wanted to maybe mention his other movies. I'll just do that now, but he was in another movie called Sherlock Jr. It's only 40 minutes long. I loved that movie. It was a delight. Sherlock Jr. And also any comparison you can make between Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin is really just the time period they lived in. Those two men were very different. For starters, the messages in Charlie Chaplin's movie, the political messages, were very obvious. And Keaton, he wasn't so much political, and his messages weren't especially clear. But they are in there. We just don't have time to discuss that. Another is Chaplin was very public about his affairs, all of his wives, and his wealth. Buster Keaton was not. And as far as we know, Charlie Chaplin did not have any substance abuse issues. I could go on, but I think I shouldn't.
So people should check out that, come along and watch a silent movie on Saturday. What was the date again for that one?
It is Saturday, May 25th at Whangarei Central Library, 11 a.m. And if you want more information on that, you can Google Whangarei Libraries and just go to the site and click Events.
Cool.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting for the movie this Saturday. Now, you mentioned something that you did some research on something called EBSCOhost. What's EBSCOhost?
Oh, yeah, of course. EBSCOhost is a resource that is it's very popular with academic libraries, university libraries. You access EBSCOhost and you search any topic, and then it connects you with articles. At our library, we have periodicals from old magazines and newspapers. So I found a lot of articles about the general from magazines from, I think, mainly the 90s and 2000s, because that's when the VHS was being released at first, and then later DVD.
Yeah.
So EBSCOhost is a massive repository for articles.
Why would someone, you've done it for your research, what would someone use EBSCOhost for then?
Well, you can use it for research on any topic, really, but...
Is it mostly for students? Is that what you'd say?
At academic libraries, it connects you to academic journals, so yes. You can get some journals. For the topic I wanted, I mainly was connected with magazines because I guess film is more of an entertainment topic. But if you want to do a deep dive into a particular time period, say you want to read an old magazine article from the 90s, you can search there. If you want to read about, what's an example? The fall of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
You could maybe see what journalists were saying at the time. Although, with a topic that big, I suppose, consult books, too.
But it's good to know there's things other than books. We've got books, Google searching.
Yeah.
But there's this other thing, isn't there? These searching these articles and getting the full text of what was written.
Yeah, that's right. And I have a stack of articles about this film, The General, and I learned so much just from... Maybe about 6 or 7 articles that I read from EBSCOhost, magazine articles. And yeah, cool. I have gained so much knowledge for free from the library.
Yeah.
And I should also mention that The General is also available on Bema Film. That is our library's streaming service. We have a movie streaming service available. You can go on there and access movies, and they have some older films too, like The General. There's new movies too, don't worry.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, check out Bema Film. Well, you mentioned that the movie cost, what was it, $750,000 in 1926.
Yes.
We just did a quick online conversion, and that's 13 or 14 million
Yeah.
by today's money, apparently.
Yeah, and that would be an indie film by today's standards.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was very expensive, and large film studios wanted to control how films were financed because it was simply easier for them. And so basically, producers took creative control from actors and directors. In a nutshell, that's what happened in the late 20s.
Awesome. It reminded me a bit, a couple of weeks ago, I was on the shelf
Yeah.
talking about a book I was reading, which was a children's book. Alfred Hitchcock presents The Three Investigators,
Yeah.
The Secret of Terror Castle, which was about a silent movie actor
Yeah.
that had fallen on tough times and now chose to haunt, quote unquote, his castle so he didn't lose his house to the bank. Yeah.
I suppose we should segue into the next segment. It's New Zealand Music Month. Bleh. New Zealand Music Month. So we're going to play a song by a New Zealand artist. The song is called Break by Phaser Days. And here it is. Just having a technical issue, but we have a second computer here we can use. Just a moment.
Something's gotta break. Something's gotta give. Something's gotta give. You just give and take. I just take and give. What you gonna say? Cut yourself a break. There's no way. You can talk. I'm not listening. I'm too tired. Are you busy? Yeah, you are. Inundated. Yes, you are. Evidently, it's alright. It's okay. We can talk in a minute. If in doubt, pray to God. It's a shame. No one's listening. Something's gotta give. Something's gotta give. Something's gotta change, something's gotta change. You just try to live, you just try to live. I'm just gonna break, I'm just gonna break. I'm just gonna break, break. I'm just gonna break, break, break. I'm just gonna break, break, break. I'm just gonna break, 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 break. Didn't mean it, I think I might have said it, but wasn't meaning to say it. Said I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to bother. I need some water and to meditate in a corner. Think I'm gonna break, think I'm gonna break. Got nothing more to give, nothing more to say. The harder that I tried, more it took away. So when you're gonna say, cut yourself a break. Not okay. We can talk, I'm not listening, I'm too tired. Oh, you're busy, you are inundated. Yes, you are, everyone is. Alright, it's okay. We can talk in a minute. If in doubt, pray to God. It's a shame, no one's listening. Something's gotta give, something's gotta give. Something's gotta change, something's gotta change. You just try to live, you just try to live. Well, I'm just gonna break, I'm just gonna break. I'm just gonna break, break. I'm just gonna break, break, break. I'm just gonna break, break, break. I'm just gonna break, break, break. I'm just gonna break.
You are listening to The Shelf, a podcast for Whangarei District Libraries on Beagle Radio 88.1, and that was Phaser Days singing Break. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to just hop into the next segment. Our esteemed colleague LJ interviewed the eResources Librarian Penny, and I think we'll just dive right into it, shall we? This is Penny and LJ.
Kia ora koutou. My name is LJ from the Shelf, and I'm here with Penny, our eResources Librarian at Whangarei District Libraries. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do here at the library?
Thanks, LJ. Hi, everyone. My name's Penny, and I am fortunate to be the eResources Librarian. So what I get to do is look after the connections to the various things that we do subscribe to, make some selections as well on what goes on to some of the platforms like the e-books and e-audio. Some you don't have a selection, you're just buying access to the resource for everyone.
Yeah.
So things like LinkedIn Learning, which is one of the things I really want everyone to know about, because it's got great resources, basically, courses for if you're learning computers. It's free online.
Used it for some Excel stuff.
Yes.
That's a total foreign thing to me. So it's very useful.
It's brilliant. So I've been doing it a few years and loving it, but I also get to help customers on the desk as well. We all get to do that. I'm sure everyone said it. And give some presentations in the Maybane room as well, and help people one-on-one to set up their devices to access some of the resources that we have, like Press Reader and isn't it funny, the brain goes quiet.
Newsbank? Is that what it's called?
Access NZ.
Oh, yes.
Yep,
That's
Newsbank. Help people use that, which is a great way to search on papers, cross papers, if you've got a name you're looking for, etc., and you're not sure of the year. Like most resources, though, you find that the 80s and 90s are still a little bit patchy for newspapers.
Yeah.
They're still digitalising them, I think.
Yes, yeah. They talked about that a bit at conference. That's been a mission.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But hopefully, in the not too distant future. But also we've got things like streaming movies, Beamer Film. So...
And it's free.
It's free, yes.
I told someone when they signed up the other day, I was like, we've got access to a streaming site called Beamer Film through your library card, and they were like, and how much is that? And I said, it's nothing. It's completely free.
Yeah, it's great. I love all the
and
resources.
It's really good quality
Beamer
Film as well. I remember when it first launched and it had kind of a limited selection, but I would say now it's pretty... robust. That's maybe the word.
And there's different ways you can access it. Like you can use your phone or laptop or PC. And if you've got a smarter TV than I have, you've got your apps on there.
It works on my TV.
So I know a few people use that, and they have, if there's a problem, they've got their support directly with them. So you've got the little email address to them to say,
something's not working.
Something's not working, because as much as I would love to get in there and fix it, I can certainly activate your account, but... they'll usually, from my experience, they'll usually react to people within a day or two.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and...
So responsive.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, I had someone asking me about it recently, and I was like, it's a bit hard when I can't see your TV. It's not like the e-device that they can bring into the library and show it to us. It's good to know that there's support there.
I can do a lot on the phone because I've seen a few things.
Yeah.
You start from the and ask all the questions.
Yeah.
So if you ever get me on the phone, I'll usually go back to the
you're
start.
a great troubleshooter. I have heard you on the phone, and I am always impressed. I think I would like to be more like Penny on the phone. You have a very calming way with customers, and you're good at drilling down to the heart of the problem, I would say. I know. You're blushing, Penny.
I'm thinking, let me run away and hide now.
We think very highly of you. I was also going to ask, because we like to bust myths on the show. I hear a lot of, not a lot of, but every now and then people will say audiobooks aren't real reading, or do you think ebooks are going to take over? There's a lot of kind of reading snobbery, and then also this fearful thing that it's going to take away our physical media. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have strong opinions myself, because what I've seen is everyone's different and their lives are different, and so sometimes through health reasons or disabilities, technology has just opened up the world a bit. And, they don't have to go through the pain and problems to get into a physical building. They can get something online and it's all there for them, because most ebooks are just the recorded full book and often great voices. And for those that are at night at home and they can't get to sleep, I've heard it many times said that they just use, and I use it myself sometimes.
Raising my hand here too.
Because I used it last night, listening to a great book.
Yeah.
So I always say to people when I get that question, it's not instead of, it's as well as. And I totally understand the people that say, oh, look, ebooks aren't for me. I like the physical touch, and I like to see it and smell it and all the rest of it. And I'm so there with you. Yeah, I love a physical book as well. But
I think it's the accessibility, isn't it? It's like you're saying, it's an as well as, it's an extra option, and it opens things up. Like I always think with ebooks, when people say I prefer a physical book, so do I, but with ebooks, any book can be a large print book. We've got a good large print physical selection here, but not all authors publish in large print. And there's some avid readers in the community that need larger print, that ebooks give them access to books they might not otherwise be able to read, and the special fonts that you can get for dyslexia, and same thing with audiobooks. As someone that has ADHD, sometimes focusing on a physical book is hard, and so I'll have the audio book of the book in my ears and I'll have the physical book in my hands, and I've heard other people say the same thing, so I'm totally there on the same page with you in terms of the accessibility and the needs of we all have different needs. And I get the people that say to me, I can't hear, so e-audio is no good to me, so they get the ebook. And as you're saying, being able to change the font, colour and size, and it's just a game changer. Your reading experience completely,
And these days, because knowing you've got those two things happening for people, I try and get the ebook and the e-audio. I can't always, and I can't always get it on the same platform. Which is weird, because just check the catalogue. It will tell you if it's an ebook and which platform it's on. That's the other confusing thing that can happen.
Is I've noticed that.
If you see Libby, it's Overdrive, it's Novell. You've got these 3 words for the same thing. And Borrow Box and e-platform.
For now.
Sometimes, like at the moment, I'm seeing a new teens title that I look at the cover and go, oh, that is just stunning. Yes, we're getting the physical book, but I can get the e-audio and the e-book now, which is also another surprise. Sometimes there's an embargo, so you won't get it for a number of weeks, maybe a couple of months.
That's interesting.
It's
Things I didn't know.
It's the publishers. They've seen what happened in the music industry, and I think they're a bit cannier for how they roll it. So we can access, it's like leasing.
Yeah.
Some titles you can have for 26 borrowings or 52 borrowings or 2 years, whichever comes soonest, or just 2 years and then it goes. So sometimes, yes, you'll see a title's there and then it's gone and you go, what's happened to that?
Interesting, because one of the other questions I was going to ask you, because I get it a lot and I kind of know the answer, but I feel like for listeners it might be helpful, but people don't understand why we have a certain number of like they think it's digital, it's an ebook. If the library has access to it, why isn't there just unlimited copies?
That would be my dream. That would be my dream. Have it now and for everyone. It's the publishers, really. They set how it's going to be.
It's like called like metered access or something like that.
I'd say that's like copyright ownership, and they can set. They've spent money to create a resource, be that physical book, and this is my terminology. I'm not reading this from anything, but my understanding is they've paid the money. They've got the resource and they want to get their return. I mean...
Yeah, I usually explain it to people as if, like, it's like we're getting the physical copy. We see, see the demand and we would buy X amount of physical copies and, we're buying the access to X amount of digital copies. It's like you kind of have to envision it as if it was...
a physical
thing, It's
not,
I think maybe in the age of streaming, people are thinking about, well, if I have a thing on Netflix, I can just stream it.
Well, one thing about digital things, it changes. I mean, it has changed so much from when I came on board for an eResources person to helping people to get online to now it's, put the app on 5 minutes and you're off and running. So maybe that'll change, but at this instance, the publishers are trying to get a return for what they've done. And some, depending on the publisher.
And hopefully that passes on to the author.
I'm sure it would. And so then you've got the juggle of, there's a lot of people want it. So like the physical books, when you get to a certain amount, you try and get another one. So if it's an e-audio and you're getting one and it's like a one license unlimited sort of thing. So how many do you have to cover the number but know that once the interest is gone, you've got this...
Right.
And you've also got a certain number of, dollars in the budget so that you've got to spread round to everyone to get a selection there. So you're doing that individual choice. Yeah. You're doing that multiple choice. And these days, I think people or publishers, you get this, you can buy it for that amount of dollars. Yeah. Or you can buy this for 100 consecutive ones. Sometimes it's the same amount, which means you can have it for about 5 years and have that many people and you go, yeah, baby, let's get that one. Or you get the ones where it's that price or the 100 consecutive usage at a higher rate. Right. So you go, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a case-by-case basis is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you do a bit of a juggle and, which platforms, so which platform do we have this author in? You try and get it there, but if the price is too good, you might go to the other one, which is a case in point. So, have a look on the catalogue. It will tell you if we've got it
Yeah.
It's usually right, and if you see that it's none available, if it's showing up on the catalogue, it means we've got it, but it's just out on loan at the moment. Yeah.
And you can place your hold and as
Place
you
your
would
hold
on your
as you
physical
would.
copy.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else that you want to highlight that you wish more people knew about and that you feel?
Well, there's the Haynes manuals, which that's an unlimited one.
Yeah.
So it's not all the car manuals and it's not all the bicycles, but they've now got not just the motorbike and cars, but they've got other small motors. And I was in there the other day and went, oh, great. They've been talking about outboard motors.
Oh, okay.
So they're
That's good
there
to
as
know.
well. It's on the... Don't have to remember Haynes or anything.
Yeah.
Just go to the library's website, go car manuals.
And pops up. Yeah,
not in the
notice.
catalogue, just in the website itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very useful, especially because they're harder. The physical copies are harder to come by often
Yeah.
if you don't have it.
Yeah. But it doesn't have everything, unfortunately.
No, I know. It doesn't have my car, but that's okay. Probably because my car's 30 years old and it's time for a new car. But but it has a lot. It has a lot of different ones. Yeah.
And sometimes it's got the American names instead of,
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
I leave that to others.
Cool. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I learned stuff. Some stuff I already knew. And thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
No, thanks, LJ. Thanks for having me here. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Welcome back to The Shelf, a radio show for Whangarei District Libraries on Beagle Radio. That was really fascinating.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. We learned a lot ourselves, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely. I liked the descriptions of just how these resources actually are incredibly beneficial for some people.
Definitely.
So
What have we got next?
I'd like to talk about some exciting news in the library. The Maori room is now called Te Puawananga, and Moana, the Maori Services Librarian, has been hosting a weaving group, and I visited this group, and there's some flax laid out on the rug, and there's a big pile of flax there for everyone to use, and Moana is using this to pass along her knowledge of weaving to the public. She's doing what librarians do, passing knowledge. And I took some pictures and talked to some people, and it looked like people were having a good time. It looked very popular. And I just want to play something, a lot of pre-recorded stuff today, but this next thing is Moana. She's just talking about the weaving group. Have a listen. Hi, Moana. Can you just tell me what you made today at Weaving Club?
Sure, Andy. What we did today was a four-sided little kind of, it's called a kono. It's like a little four-sided basket that was just basic. It just had 16 whenua, and then they had to make their four corners and they're learning how to, or they learnt today to weave the little kono, put it into a four corner item, I suppose, or article, and then weave it up and then lock it off, which is just really folding whenua down. But that was a lot of learning for all of them.
Okay. Any plans in the future for other weaving groups?
Well, I know they are interested in carrying that on, because what happens is we do these for puanga matariki, these weaving classes, and that's like, it starts with the bracelets and the earrings and flowers, and then the following week they advance on to these kind of small little baskets. But there's a lot of kind of weaving or thinking in that, and then we finish, and that's left for another year, and so another group of people come in and start learning the same kind of practice, which is okay because you're reaching another lot of people from the community. But the ones that have woven, like say this time, will want more weaving. So I have talked to them about it, but it's just how practical that is.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Moana.
Thank you.
And that was Moana.
And there's lots of cool things happening in Te Puawananga coming up for Puanga Matariki, in addition to the weaving workshops
That's right.
you were talking about. There's going to be some classical music played to turn it into a reflective space. That'll be really cool.
That's exciting.
There's a few classical concerts by I might have the terminology wrong, but like a chamber group. Is that right? 3 or 4 quartet?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And there are four wahine coming in to talk about their chosen kaupapa. So there's some talks, there's some music, there's some weaving. All of it's available on our website if you want to find out more. Also, I saw today there's the Puanga Matariki booklets are around town advertising what's happening for the whole festival.
Yep.
So yeah, check it out. Some good stuff happening.
Since it is New Zealand Music Month, I just want to talk about 2 books that are on the shelves. They're on the shelf.
That should be one of our little sound
We'll get
bites.
some
Have
sound.
a little, yeah.
We'll get some sound effects later. One of them is called Impossible by Stan Walker. And I thought about this book because I went to the movies over the weekend. It was an American movie, but during the credits, I could hear the Maori language in the end credit song. It was Stan Walker.
Okay. What movie was it?
Origin. It's a 2023 movie, but it was playing in the theater. Anyway,
That's
I
cool.
recommend the movie. And this book is all about Stan Walker's life. And Glenn, we've brought a book to the studio, a little show and tell.
Yeah, well, I've got here a book I've actually talked about before on a previous show, but I'll talk about it again.
Yeah.
Because it's New Zealand Music Month. Needles and Plastic, Flying Nun Records, 1981 to 1988. Super great, like a catalogue of all the releases that came out of Flying Nun during that time period. It's like lots of awesome photos, a description of each of the releases, posters, all sorts of stories, crazy band names.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of good stuff. My method for reading this book was, it took me quite a long time. I think I had to renew it at least once because what I did, I'd read about each release and then I'd YouTubed it or whatever to try and get a sense of what the band was like. So I highly recommend that one. And I recommend companion YouTubing it too, just to listen as you read.
Yeah. You said that you discovered a lot of bands that way, and I did too. It opens up a whole world, really.
Yeah, I mean, I was here in New Zealand during this time, but I never heard any of those bands or those songs, so it was nice.
Excellent. Well, we're about to wrap things up. When we post on Facebook with a link to this episode, please like and comment on Facebook or YouTube. We need that qualitative data. Like and subscribe.
You got it.
Leave a comment, please. A nice comment.
Yeah. Well, or a bad one. Any publicity is good publicity, so.
Yeah. And you can also find this podcast on our website. And a very special thanks to the lovely folks at 116 on Bank Street for letting us use this studio.
And the lovely folks at Beagle Radio.
Oh, yeah. And I'd like to close with a song. That makes it sound like I'm singing.
Well, you're welcome to. We've got time, Andy. We've probably got time for you to sing and to play a song.
I don't want to punish people. This next song is by a band that is literally right down the road. About 30 minutes away, there was a heavy metal group that formed called Alien Weaponry. And this song is called Raupatu. And thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.